Hi there folks, and welcome to another Workspace Wednesday. This week we're going to look at a cool little chart that you can build to show progress inside of Google Sheets. Now we're going to use two functions today. That's going to be a sparkline function and a COUNTIF function. We're going to combine those so that when you click each one of your checkboxes, you will see a visual progress bar that shows up showing completion or progress on a project that you're doing, or maybe tasks complete, or whatever you want to do, you can decide. So let's jump right in. So what we're going to do first here is we are going to go ahead and clear all of this, and we're going to go ahead and leave our headers here. So we've got a project ID and we've got steps 1, 2, and 3. Now you can do however many steps you want to do. We're just going to do 3 steps for simplicity, and then we're going to have a visual progress column so that each time we check off a step, you can see its completion visually. So let's go ahead, and what we'll do first is we're going to hit, we're going to put about 10 different project IDs. And we'll just drag that straight down. And then we're going to have 3 steps. So what we want to do is we'll go ahead and grab all of these cells here. And then we're going to go up to our insert. And we're going to insert checkboxes in all of those. So you see now we've got our checkboxes. Now when we click on it right now, nothing happens in our progress column. But in just a few minutes, we're going to see a visual that'll pop up and show us our progress towards completion. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. Now, like any other formula, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our equal sign, and then we're going to use our sparkline function or formula here. And so you'll see that'll pop up. Now, there's lots of different things that you can do with sparklines. And in other videos, we'll show you how you can change your chart type, your color, and just alter what you want to show up in the cells there. But for today, we're going to be building a progress bar. And so that's all we're going to work on. Now, what we want to do is open our brackets. Now, normally you would jump right into your sparkline formula. And in our case, we're not going to do that because we need to use a COUNTIF function also. So we're going to go ahead and type in COUNTIF, and then we'll open the brackets again. So we're chaining these functions together. And once we have our COUNTIF, we're going to go ahead and use C2 through E2 where our checkboxes are. So we want our formula to count these if they are true. Okay, so the criterion that we're going to put in there is going to be true. And then we're going to go ahead and close this off. We're going to go to our next section of our sparkline. And like I said, there's many options in a sparkline. So this is where your help gets very creative, and you can use it a lot if you want to change different options on it. For us, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we are just going to build a progress. And so we need our curly brackets. And what we're first going to do is go ahead and type in our chart type. And this will define what kind of chart that we want to use. Then we need a comma so that we can put this argument in. And for us, we're just going to use the standard bar. And then we'll close that again. We're going to need another comma to define what our max is. Now here, we want to use a semicolon, okay? And so we'll open our quotes again. We're going to define our max, and we'll close our quotes. Now in our case, you see in the example here, we have 50. In our case, we only have 3 steps. So our max is going to be 3. Now you can alter that if you have more steps that you need in your progress bar. But basically what the formula is looking for is each of those steps needs to say true, and we want our visual to be maxed out if all 3 are true. Now if you have 4, all 4 would need to be true to be maxed out. So we're going to go ahead and put our 3 here. Once we got our 3 in, we can go ahead and close our curly brackets again right here. And then remember, we're chained in here, so we need to close this, and then we'll go ahead and hit enter. Now you won't see anything that shows up right there, so we're going to go ahead and test it. So we'll click on step 1, and we can see that our progress visual moves over step 2 and step 3, and that's maxed out. Now if we do it here, it's not going to work, but what we can do is we can just grab this and drag it down all the way. Then if we come anywhere in here, we can see that each time we complete a step, all we have to do is check it off and our progress bar will move to the right. So that's a really cool visual that you can use using a COUNTIF function and a sparkline function. Now, if you have any questions about it, go ahead and comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel where you can find more Workspace Wednesday tips and tricks right here on Lean Strategies International LLC. We'll see you next time. Well, hi there, folks, and welcome to another Workspace Wednesday. This week, we're going to be answering another question or a comment from our Progress Bar series. And that question is there a way to change the color of the Progress Bar? Well, the short answer is yes. There's lots of different ways to change the colors on your Progress Bar. And so we're going to show you the most basic way today. You can see right behind me, there's one progress bar that's green and the other ones are our standard orange. And this is just kind of what we had it set at when we built the progress bar the first time. So we're going to use this same formula, the sparkline formula, combined with the COUNTIF formula to change the color of our progress bar. And this is how we're going to do it. So we'll do it to the rest of them here. And that way you can see that as our spark line is clicked, or we can select different colors, and maybe you want it to be green, maybe you want it to be blue. We're going to show you how to do that. So let's get started. We'll start with this first one right here. And so we've got our spark line formula and our COUNTIF already in there. Now up here in the function, we want to go right behind this bar that's in quotes, and we want to add a simple word, and that word is going to be color 1, and we're going to put that in quotes, and that'll give us the ability to change the color of our progress bar. So once we have that in there, we're going to need a comma, and then this is going to be the key. This is what's going to tell our formula or function what color to make that progress bar. And how do we get that? Well, there's a few different ways. The first way we're going to show you is that you could put your quotes in and say red. And then what I'm going to do is after I have the red in there is I'm going to put a semicolon. I'm going to hit enter, and you'll see that that'll change to red. Now, the way that I like to change my colors is to go up here to our fill color and select that and come down to custom. And let's say that I want pink. So I come over here and move this over to pink, and I click right there. And then this little hex code right here, I'm going to copy. And once I have that copied, I'm going to cancel out of it. And then I can go right back up here to our formula or a function. And right where we put in the word red, I'm going to go ahead and erase that. And I'm going to paste that hex code in there. And then I'm going to hit enter. And you'll see that it'll change that exact same color. Now, if we drag this all the way down, you'll see that they all change colors. So that's how you can change the color of your progress bar. Now, you can also change the color based on how many steps are complete. And if you'd like to see that formula or that function, go ahead and leave a comment down below. And if this video helped you out, click the like button for our algorithm there, and subscribe to the channel so you can get more free Workspace Wednesday tips. And let's just change it to one more color here. Let's see if we can find Lean Strategies color. Let's hit custom. We'll go over to red. We'll get a bright red, copy our hex code, hit our cancel button. We'll come right up here and we'll select this right there. Paste that in there, hit enter, and we see that it changes right there. So that's how you change the colors of your progress bar. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time right here on Lean Strategies International LLC, where you can find solutions that ignite your power. Hi there, folks, and welcome to this week's Workspace Wednesday right here on Lean Strategies International LLC. This week, we are going to answer a question from one of the comments section on our recent progress bar video. And that question is, can we put the percentage number in the progress bar? So you'll see right behind me that you can, in fact, do that. And we're going to go over just exactly how you can do that in this video. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. Let's jump right in and I'll show you the formula for how you can put a percentage in with a progress bar. We're going to use a couple of different formulas here. The first one's going to be the repeat. Then we're also going to use a character formula, and we're going to use the round formula. So you'll see right here we have some SKUs for part numbers, year-to-date sales or the current state sales, and then we also have our annual goal. And what we want to do is have a progress bar right here with a percentage. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to start with our equal sign to open up our formula, and we're going to go ahead and use the repeat formula for function first. And really what that's going to do is just to help us repeat certain formulas that we put in multiple times. We're going to start with our open bracket, and then we're going to use the character function here. So you'll see it pulls it right up. It's a pretty common one. Now the character function is kind of interesting. There's lots of different numbers that you can use, but in our case, we're going to use the number 406. And basically what that's going to do is give us our progress bar and repeat it the number of times that we set our progress bar to repeat. So it'll show the percentage, the equal number of times for the progress bar. So we're going to close that out, and then we're going to hit a comma, and now we need to input something for it. Now if you watch, I can put a hard number in here. We'll do something like 10. And then I'll go ahead and hit enter, and you'll see there are 10 dashes here on our progress bar. But we want ours to be dynamic, and we want it to calculate the numbers of our sales. So what we're going to do is input B2, and we're going to go ahead and divide that. I'm going to go ahead and close this so you can see what we're calculating here. So we've got B2, which is our year-to-date sales, divided by C2. And then if we hit enter here, this is going to give us a number that's less than 1% because it's calculating a percentage. So what we want to do is multiply it by 100 to calculate our whole number. And you'll see that will give us our bars right here. We're going to not drag this down just yet because we're going to alter it a little bit. Now there's a lot of bars here. And so one thing you can do if you want to shorten it and make it more visually appealing is just divide it by, say, 4, and that'll kind of taper it down. But for us, it looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and leave that out. And then we're going to chain this together with an and symbol. And what we're going to connect to it is another character function. So we'll open our bracket. And what we want to do here is use the number 10. Now, what does the number 10 do? it just simply adds another line there so that we can input our percentage so that you can see the progress bar and the percentage of the year-to-date sales and the annual goal. So once we have that, we're going to input one more formula so that it's a little bit easier to read, and that's our round formula. So we want to round this number. So we're going to type in round, open our bracket again, and we're going to use the exact same formula that we did right here because we want the same data rounded. And so we're just going to copy that, stick it right in here. And once you have it in there, you can hit a comma, and we only want to round this to 2 decimal places. So we're going to specify that right here. And then we're going to close our bracket. Now the last thing we want to do is we want this to return with a percentage symbol. So that part's pretty easy. We're going to chain it together with another and symbol. And then we're going to open a bracket, or we're going to put some quotes here, and we'll put a percentage in the middle, and then we'll close it with another quote. Once I hit enter, you'll see that we have our progress bar right here and 25% below that. Now let's just check that out and see if that's what this equals. So we'll take B2 and divide it by C2, and you can see we have 25% right here. And if we were to convert this to a percentage, it'd be exactly what's showing right there. So we'll go ahead and just grab this and drag it right down. And you can see that it calculates a progress bar as well as the percentage right below it. So I hope that answers your question. And that's how you can create a progress bar with a percentage below it. If you have any questions about this formula or any functions inside of Google Sheets or Google Workspace in general, feel free to comment down below. Like the video and subscribe, and we'll see you right back here on Lean Strategies International LLC, where you can find solutions that ignite your power. Hi there, folks, and welcome to another Workspace Wednesday right here on Lean Strategies International LLC, where you can find solutions that ignite your power. Now, before we get started, if you're interested in tips with Google Workspace, Google Sheets, Google Docs, or any of those sorts of technology, please hit the subscribe button so that you can be sure to get all sorts of videos as they come up right in real time. Now, this week, we're going to be answering a question, and the question is related to our progress chart series. It is, how do you change the individual step colors? For example, step 1, step 2, step 3, each time you click a checkbox on your progress chart. So you'll see here that we have different progress charts that are available for each of the rows, and there are check boxes that are set up. And so in this one, we see that there's 2 check boxes. If we take one off, it'll turn red. If we put another one on, it's yellow. Third one is green. Same thing here. And so we want it to be able to change colors with each step is what's being asked here. So let's figure out how to do that. And before we do, there's going to be a few things that you need to set up that'll just make the process a little bit easier. So first of all, let's go ahead and delete all of our functions. And you'll need to insert your checkboxes here. So what we would do is we would just come down and insert checkboxes. Of course, they're already there. Now, when you click on a checkbox, you'll see that one that's checked is true. One that's not checked is false. So we're going to use that to create our progress chart. And we're going to use 3 different functions. Those functions are going to be a sparkline function, a COUNTIF function, and a switch function. It's a little bit complicated, so hang tight here. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the colors that we're going to use in our function. Now for us, we're going to use red, yellow, and green. and we need to get their hex code so that we can use that in our function. So what I'm going to do is set up a cell here like you see, and the way you get the hex code is you hit on the fill, and we'll go to custom, and then you can kind of enter the shade wherever you want by moving this around. You'll see the hex code down here. So I'm going to go ahead and just select this one right here. I'll copy it. And then just as a reference point, we'll go ahead and hit OK. It'll change the box to the color. We'll put the hex code there for our function later on because we're going to point back to it. Now let's get started with our function. And the first thing we're going to use to create our progress chart is our sparkline function. So we're going to go ahead and type in sparkline. And you'll see that some tips will show up. We're going to kind of disregard those. We'll hit our open bracket. Now we're going to use our COUNTIF function. So we enter COUNTIF. We're going to open another bracket. And what we want to count are these cells right here. So we're going to go ahead and select C2 through E2. And we're going to say that we want the criterion to be counted to be true. So if they're checked, then that would be true. So we have, it'll count them if the box is marked true or if it's checked off. Then we're going to close this out and we're going to put in a comma, which will have us jump back to our sparkline function. And we're going to put in some of our options here. Now, what we want to do is put a curly bracket to start our options, because these are the different options that are going to drive our chart. And the first thing we're going to define is what chart type we want. So to do that, we're going to type in chart type. Because it's a word, we're going to put it in quotes. Then we're going to put a comma, and we want to use that bar chart type. And we'll put that in quotes again. Then we're going to put another comma. And I'm sorry, we're going to chain this together, so we're going to put in a semicolon to do that. Now what we want to do is define the max number that we're counting to. So we're going to put in the word max. Once we have that in, then we'll put in a comma. Now the max that we can get is right here, 1, 2, 3. So our max in this case will be 3. And once we have that, we're going to put in another semicolon because we want to chain some more together. So now we're going to start to define the color portion of our function. And to do that, to set it up, we first want to use the word color, just like some of the other videos that we created progress charts in. And then we're going to put in a comma. And once we have that, now we're going to start working with our switch function. And what the switch function is going to do, it's going to allow us to change the color based on how many of these checkboxes are marked true. So you'll go ahead and enter in switch. You'll see that'll pop up. And for this one, we're going to put an open bracket. Now, when do we want the colors to switch is the next portion that we're going to define. We want them to switch if a checkbox is marked true and not switch if a checkbox is marked false. So to do that, we need to use our COUNTIF function again. And what we're going to ask it to switch based on is this same formula right here. So we're going to select C2 through E2, those cells. And then we're going to say we want to switch the color if it's true. So we're going to stick in true. We'll close that off and put a comma because we're going to keep going with our function. Now what we want to do is define if our COUNTIF, say, counts 3. So if all 3 of these cells are true, what color do we want it to be? And this is where we're going to refer back to the colors we've already selected. Now in our case, if all 3 are done, we want to refer back to K5. And you should lock these out because you always want to point back to these cells. Now the next thing we want to do is define what color do we want it to be if 2 of them are marked true. In our case, we're going to say K4. And again, we're going to lock these out. And then we're going to define what color we want it to be if only one is marked true. Now, if one is marked true, we want our red hex code right here. So we're going to point back to K3. Once we have that, we'll lock it out. Now, the final thing we want to do is if there's none, now we don't really want anything to happen, so we don't have to worry about it because it's really not going to count it if there's nothing there. So I'm going to go ahead and just point back to K3 again. And that will be our color if nothing is defined. But of course it's going to be blank because our progress char will not be progressing if nothing is checked true. So once we have that, now we're ready to close our function out and test it out. Now to do this, we first need to close our colors with a closed bracket. Then we need to put in our curly bracket because we're closing off this chart type right here. And then we need to close the entire function out with one more closed bracket. So let's hit enter. And you'll see that we get two of them right there. And if we take one off, it should change to red. And if we check both of them, it should go to green. So we can see that our progress chart is working. I'm going to go ahead and drag this down and we'll see it automatically populate. We'll check a couple more. And you see that if nothing's there, it's just going to be completely clear. So that's how you change a progress chart colors based on the number of checkboxes that are selected. And that's all for this week's video. I hope it answered your question. As always, if you have some more questions about Google Worksheets, go ahead and comment down below and we'll do our best to get back to them and make a video for you. Please like the video, share it with your friends so that we can spread knowledge to everyone. We'll see you right back here on Lean Strategies International LLC.